What's going on, y'all? It's Liam Crowley for ScreenRant here at the Edison Ballroom for the WGA Awards. We're talking with some of the most tremendous writers on screen and behind the scenes talent who are up for some big awards tonight, and it all starts right now. Congratulations on all of your success. I want to start with a question specifically about writing. To you, when you're approaching a script, what are some intangibles you look for that make you want to get behind it?
We kind of start from absolute scratch most of the time, and that's my favorite part, is the what could possibly be. I'm doing that right now this week, and it really is just like the most crucial part of the process, because usually, like, if a movie goes well creatively, it's because of those decisions that were made at that very beginning, and if it doesn't go well, it's because of those decisions that were made at the very beginning. So it's the time that matters most.
There's a lot of great creatives here tonight. I'm sure you're familiar with so many of them. Is there anyone you haven't met that you're looking forward to sharing a conversation with?
Oh God, that's a great question. I mean, I don't know, is P.T. Anderson going to be here? I've never met him.
I hope so.
I'll meet him. Look, I'm so lucky and fortunate to be around all of these writers. Like, we're at a point in history where I feel like it is extremely challenging for us as artists and creatives, and to be able to come here and celebrate with everyone together the accomplishments of the year, I feel very fortunate.
Can I bug you with a Star Wars question?
Let's see.
Okay, there's so much hoopla being made right now about The Hunt for Ben Solo, a script that was once written and we don't know if it'll ever see the light of day, but Adam Driver really wants to do it. I know so much about Duel of the Fates, the episode 9 that never saw the light of day. Is there any world where that could be reworked and possibly like inserted into the canon? Are those ideas you're still kicking around, or is it in the past?
Well, it was. Look, I was making a third film in a trilogy, and that was a very specific job, and that was what I went to do. And so I doubt that. But honestly, at this point, like, what could be in Star Wars is kind of part of the joy of being a Star Wars fan. And so I love that I'm a part of what could be or what could have been in Star Wars.
Lightsaber guillotine.
Listen, man.
Come on. It's the coolest concept art I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Here's hoping. Well, down the line, I want to ask, you've worked in so many great franchises over the course of your career. You've also done some great intimate indie films. What are you looking to do at this point in your career? Go back into franchises, continue to make those small stories, or a mix of both?
Both. I have a film I've been trying to make for a long time, a true story about the Las Vegas news reporter who first discovered Area 51 in the late 80s. And this is obviously it's a subject we're focused on right now because we are realizing that all of this could have some truth behind it. And so, to do a journalism thriller about that story is something that's important to me. But I'm also getting back into the world of larger stories that reach people all around the planet, which is a gift to be able to be involved in.
That Area 51 piece sounds like something I'll be there for opening weekend, so I hope it sees the light of day. Congratulations on helming this award show. What does the preparation process look like for a night like tonight?
Man, this is love, man. A night like tonight is love, bro. Like, we get with the writers, myself and a couple of writers from the Guild here on the East, and 9, 10 of us sit in a room, eat terrible food for 2-3 hours, get the base structure together, and it's just a matter of keeping up with current events and making sure that the current events that we're doing. Like 3 weeks ago, we had jokes about what happened with the Tourette's issue with the BAFTAs. By the time we get here, we're so far removed from that. There's a war in Iran. There's so many other things happening now that you go, okay, what can we move? How do we move the pieces? So it's just a matter of remaining fluid, that's all.
I know you're going to put your own unique stamp on the award show tonight. I'm looking forward to your monologue. That being said, are there any monologues from years past, whether it be at the WGAs or any other award show, that are particularly your favorites?
My favorite hosting monologue.
Or just host in general.
Ooh, White House Correspondents' Dinner 2023. That was a good one. There's a good Clarence Thomas joke that they can go Google. I'm not going to say it here. They got to go Google that one. Peabody Awards was good. That one didn't air on TV. But White House Correspondents' Dinner, I'd say I'd stand beside everything I said that night still today, except for the Don Lemon joke. I didn't word that right, and it made people think I hated Don Lemon. But other than that, no.
I come from a broadcast background, and I always find it fascinating how much people adhere to a teleprompter versus like go off in their own direction. When you are looking at your teleprompter, do you want bullet points on there, or do you want a clear script?
Verbatim. I need my teleprompter verbatim, and then I go off script, and if I want to come back to the script, I have the exact phrasing I need to merge back into traffic. So, I think of a teleprompter as a road with faded lines. It's not like clear-cut lanes. but you kind of know where the lane is, and you can drift over here and tell a joke over here, or you can come over here, or I can play it center of the road and just do what's coming up in the box.
Yeah, and holding an audience that whole time while also maintaining the segues in your brain. Like, do you feel like you're spinning 15 plates at once?
Yeah, hosting can be chaotic, man. Hosting can be a little chaotic because you're trying to read. There's someone off stage getting ready to come on stage, and you're making eye contact with everybody, and you don't know, like, God, please, if I do a joke and I accidentally make eye contact with Stephen Colbert or Don Cheadle, and they're not laughing. Now in my head, Don Cheadle hates me, Don Cheadle hates me, Don Cheadle hates me. But I still have these words I have to keep saying.
Yeah, I'll wrap with this again. I come from a broadcast background, so I remember those days when the producer was in my ear. Oh my God, like we got to get to commercial, And I maintain composure. I'm like, it's okay, we're gonna get there. And then we do, and it just feels good. I feel like I did right by my team. Have you had that moment in your career, whether it be hosting or something you're anticipating for tonight, where you're looking forward to doing right by your team?
Every single time that I've hosted something, be it Guild or Webbies or Peabody's or Sports Emmys, whatever, I sit in the green room when I'm done and I just take a deep sigh, because it's still the most exciting thing you can do in entertainment, in comedy, but also the most like stressful and horrific. But I love the rush. I love the rush. You get in that room and don't know if the joke's gonna work, and then you find out it will work, or it doesn't work, and now you got to make a joke immediately about your joke not working. But it's exciting.
Yeah, there's nothing like the rush of live performance. Congratulations again, you're going to kill it. Congratulations on the achievement. Where were you when you were told that you were going to be getting this recognition?
Oh, I was home working, I'm sure, I'm developing a couple different projects. So I was, hacking away, doing free work, trying to get a job, and I got the email from Dana, and I was really actually taken aback, because I always thought that this award went to somebody who had to do really onerous work, to sit in crowded conference rooms, negotiating and doing really hard, work. And the work that I have primarily done for the Guild has been joyful to me, helping them run the Showrunner Training Academy, which is a new program for the East. They've been doing it on the West for a while, but we've only been doing it for 4 years. And so, I've been there from the beginning, and I co-host every meeting, and I help, decide who comes in to talk about what. It is a big time obligation, for the 4 months that we run the program. But I also, it's a pleasure to do it.
As much as we're celebrating you tonight, we're celebrating the entire Writers Guild of America. What to you makes a good script? What are some intangibles you look for within a good script?
Oh gosh. A singular voice. When I'm watching a show, I want to feel like I know who wrote it. I know who wrote it. I know what they were trying to convey. I feel like they singularly, could have written this. I always love an ensemble of characters that I feel like I want to spend time with these people. And I love big themes. I love shows that, whether it's on the top level or it's subliminal, that are about something that make me look at my own life in a different way.
Very well said. We're celebrating International Women's Month. International Women's Day is today, but March as a whole is Women's History Month. I'm asking this to all my interview subjects this month. Who's the first character you saw yourself in growing up and maybe inspired you to get involved in this industry?
Oh my gosh, you're going to be so surprised. But when I was really young, pre-teen, my favorite show was The Love Boat.
One more time?
The Love Boat. You've never heard of it.
I can't say I have.
Yeah, okay, so it was
before my time.
Yes, it was an iconic ABC series on for many, many years. And I had read an article in my local newspaper, in the Delaware State News. It was an AP article about how The Love Boat, they were several seasons in, and that they were looking for ideas for scripts from the audience, from their viewers. And so I think I'm 10 or 11 at the time, and I decided to write a spec script for The Love Boat. and I wrote myself in to it. And I think, I look back at it now, and I didn't even really like think of it because I grew up in I'm Korean American, and I grew up in a small town that didn't have a lot of Asian Americans in it. So I think very unconsciously I put myself in there because, there was nobody who looked like me on any television show. And so, I put myself in the Love Boat.
A very wonderful answer. Thank you for sharing that anecdote. Thank you again for your time. Bugonia is one of the wildest trips of last year that I got to experience. What's it like working with Yorgos Lanthimos?
Yeah, it was great. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never worked with him before, and he's such an important filmmaker and an auteur filmmaker, and so I thought as a writer, like, this might be a bumpy ride for me. And instead, it was kind of one of the easiest times I had making a movie. I mean, even his notes were amazing, but they were not, voluminous. It was not weeks and weeks of script conferences. They were very clear notes, and he knew what the script was, and he knew how he wanted to make it. So that was great.
Amazing. After watching this film, it's hard to imagine anyone other than Jesse and Emma in those roles. When you were writing those roles, were they already cast at that point? Did you have them in mind?
Yeah, no. I mean, I wrote the script about a year before Yorgos even came on. Obviously, when he came on, I had an idea who he might have in mind for his leading lady, but I didn't. No, I didn't write the roles with them in mind. In fact, I never write any roles with anyone in mind, mainly as a guard against disappointment. Because I know if I really think, it has to be this actor, I'll finish the script, send it to them, and I'll figure out that they're booked for the next 2 years. So I just kind of imagine a faceless person, and then hope we get the right people. And boy, did I get the right people for this.
Very much so. For me as an audience member, I always look for two things in a film: emotion and stakes. If it hits me on an emotional level, if I shed a single tear, and if I feel like the world is genuinely going to end, it's a pretty close 5-star ranking for me. For you as a writer, what are some intangibles you always look to incorporate in your scripts?
Things that I want to include in my script?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have maybe a fear of being boring, and so I'm always trying to keep the rope taut. And if you feel like the rope is going slack at any moment, you have to be really honest with yourself. And so, I tend to even write to, I rarely exceed 115 pages, and usually it's more like 105, 108. I'm really quite obsessive about even scene length. I try to keep it, under 4 pages, 3.5 seems about right for a longer scene, and so, I just am really kind of maniacal about preserving tension. That's the main thing. And wherever tension comes from, it could be emotional tension, it could be the fate of the world, but that's the big one.
Yeah, Bugonia is full of tension. You definitely hit that in spades. One final question for you. I'm always fascinated to ask this to writers. How do you enter your flow state? Is it a setting the right tone with some music that you're listening to? Do you have to be writing at a specific desk? How do you reach that place where all of a sudden, the keys are just flowing off the keyboard?
I work in a few different rooms in my house. Also, since I worked in television, I got used to having to write on set in the back of the transpo van, and I just got used to that. So I'm okay with noise. I have young kids, so I can deal with it. Really, flow state can be a bit misleading, because sometimes you think, man, I'm flowing, and you write 10 pages in a day, and then you check the next day, and it's like, oh, it was garbage. And some of the days that feel like really, really hard, where you're not in a flow state at all, you'll look at the one page you managed to get, and you think, actually, I solved a few problems with that, and now I've got the energy for the next day. So, it's you never know where it's going to come from, but I try to treat it 9 to 5 and not take days off.
And congratulations once again on the nomination. Do you have a story about where you were when you got the call, got the email, got the text? How did you find out you were nominated?
Oh, really very, very straightforward. I was in bed with putting my son to bed. I was just laying down. I was trying to, get him to sleep, but it's also, it's something important when you get a flurry of phone calls from your publicist and your team. That's where I was, which is the best place I could ever be, was with my boy.
Very much so. Very well said. When you're crafting a script, when you're taking on a script, what are some intangibles you look for or look to incorporate in order to take it to that next level?
It just depends on what the story is. It can't be that, general, but I always think about, if it's a comedy, is there enough emotion? Is there balance to it, right? You can't have something that's so funny over and over again without having the drama there as well. I'm always searching inside and seeing, what am I saying here? What am I trying to emote here? That's my first thought and then write it all out and try to figure out where the holes are and where the story needs. And that's really pretty general, I know, but that's really all it is.
There's been some discussion lately about how Netflix scripts are crafted per se, because we're taking into mind of how the audience is taking in the project that they're watching. Sometimes
How are they crafted? I'm confused.
In the sense that sometimes films are restating the plot every so-and-so minutes, or reminding character names just in case people are watching in the background or have other things going on.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of answers the question, but I want to ask you, do you ever keep the audience in mind, or the placement of the audience, how they're taking in the show?
Yeah, I think I'm always thoughtful of the story, and how do you keep the crowd engaged is by telling a great story. So it's kind of interesting, like, I need to remind them here. It becomes very mechanical, and it strips the soul of something. So if you've seen the last episode, it's full of soul, full of heart, and my whole season, the 2 seasons that I did with Netflix are full of that. So it's I don't really think that way. I don't think in like more of a mechanical way. I think natural. There is certain mechanisms within screenwriting itself that you understand, like, what are we missing here? I don't want the audience to be lost. I want to make sure that I'm conveying what I need to. And that's why the notes process is really important, actually, is because they, either the notes can go either way, right? Either they're not suited for what you're trying to do, or there's some of the notes you realize, like, I didn't do my job well enough here, and you tweak it and it's perfect, and you move on from there. So it's a balance, I think it's all a balance.
Your response to the response of The Beast of Me. People were raving about this series last fall. How did it feel to just get that positive reception?
It feels amazing. I mean, this is my first time writing on a Netflix show, and so, the fact that it was going to drop all at once overnight, and then, I sort of didn't know how that would feel or what to expect, whether it would be kind of a blip and then be sort of forgotten, or whether it would catch on. And so it was quite amazing to see it sort of take off the way it did, and get responses from, people I hadn't heard from in 10 years who just happened to see my name. So it seemed to break through some sort of threshold, and it felt like it was part of the conversation, which was really, validating and humbling and, rewarding.
It's amazing to hear. There's a lot of conversation that gets made about Netflix scripts specifically with how much you might want to restate the plot just because of if people are binging it or people watching it in the background. How do you approach that as a writer, making sure that you are respecting your audience's attention span while also being realistic into the context of how people are watching it?
Yeah, we certainly never... We always assumed people were. I think we were trying to write for an audience that was engaged and was paying attention. I don't think we ever tried to hold back or sort of dilute anything just for the sake of someone who was kind of half watching it on their phone. I know that people talk about that, but I find as a writer, it's just, if I start imagining someone who's kind of only half watching it, it's just too demoralizing. I think certainly with any show you want a reason to keep watching and tune in. And someone asked at one point, does the binge model on Netflix, does that change the way you want to end an episode? I think probably not. Ultimately, I think regardless of what network or how it's going to roll out, you want it to be propulsive. You want people on the edge of their seat, dying to tune in. So I don't know that we thought too much about that specifically. I think mostly we just wanted a propelling story that was engaging, that would get people's imagination.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to trust the audience at the end of the day. One final question for you. There's a bunch of amazing writers and amazing talents from across the industry here tonight. Who are you most looking forward to hopefully having a conversation with yourself?
Oh God, well this is not fair, but there's 2 of our writers from Beast Me who I actually haven't seen since we were in the writers' room because it's been such a crazy year, and so I'm really selfishly just excited to catch up with them. But I'm sure there are also some amazing writers that I've looked up to that I'm not, I haven't scanned the guest list in detail. So, because originally I was supposed to be at the event in LA and had to change my plans because that event was canceled. So, very excited to see my 2 buddies from the writers' room.
Amazing, a wonderful reunion on the cusp. Can I ask you real quickly what you're working on next?
I am working on a pilot script, and it hasn't been announced yet, but we'll see. It'll be another limited series. So,
all right, we'll keep our eyes peeled, sir. Thank you again for your time. Appreciate you. For you as a writer, what makes a good script? What are some intangibles you're always looking to incorporate into a script?
I'm looking for what sounds natural coming out of the writer's mouth, and also what sounds natural to the ear, what sounds natural to people are very used to hearing other people talk. And if something doesn't hit your ear correctly, then you're gonna tune out, you're gonna say, oh, this is fake. But what we try to do on our show is we try to have real connections between the characters and have real conversations, because we feel like that way people will connect and the story will resonate with them stronger.
Amazing, very well said. We're celebrating Women's History Month all March here at ScreenRant, and I've been asking all of my interview subjects this question. Who is the first character you watched growing up where you saw yourself in that character?
Oh, well, I can say that honestly about Tamara Tooney, who is a matriarch on our show, but she was a black woman lawyer on As the World Turns, and I found her character really inspiring, and then she's one of the first ones I remember being inspired by.
Amazing, very well said. One final question for you. There's a million amazing writers gathered here tonight. Is there anyone you're particularly looking forward to meeting and having a conversation with?
Oh, goodness. Oh, Diana Son is here. I'd love to see her and talk to her. Oh my God, I think Stephen Colbert may be coming, and that would be incredible if I could talk to him. I am a big fan of him.
Amazing. I hope he comes by our little interview area right here. It'd be pretty special. Thank you again for your time. Really appreciate you. Congratulations on your nomination. For starters, what to you makes a good script? What are some intangibles you look to incorporate into a script?
First off, I look for a story that's about something. You know, it's something that connects emotionally. I think that's where we all start with a lot of these things, is it's why are we telling the story, what is it about, and where personally does it come from? Because the more we dig deep and come up with something that feels honest and true, the more it connects with the audience. So, yeah.
All good art comes from a place of relatability at the end of the day. Where were you when you received your nomination? Do you have a good story behind it?
We were nominated for another award, and then somebody like 2 weeks later said, "Oh, congratulations," and I thought, okay. And then I realized that was the day that the nominations came out, and I was at home, and it was like, I was floored. Honestly, did not expect this. It was the greatest surprise ever, and yeah, I just had to kind of sit down. I was like, especially when I looked at the other nominees, and it's an amazing crowd to be in, and it was a big moment.
Yeah. Speaking of that amazing crowd, so many wonderful writers and talents from across the industry are gathered here tonight. Is there anyone specific you're hoping to have a conversation with?
If Chloe Zhao is here, I thought Hamnet was the most beautiful movie, and I'm a big fan of her writing. So if she's here, yes, I would like to meet her and chat with her about how she writes all of it, because I think she does really beautiful work. But there's so many people here that I have a giant list, so yeah.
Myself and Chloe had a wonderful 4-minute chat about Hamnet last fall.
Yeah.
Such an intelligent filmmaker. Changes the way that you perceive films.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way about any of your people growing up, that when you would watch their interviews, whatever it was, you liked their work, but when they described their process, it changed how you viewed it?
God, there's so many. It's hard to say, because there's all the classic people, but then also if you go back and look at all the, I was a big fan of the old remarriage comedies, 30s, 40s, stuff like that, things that had a lot of wit to them, and it's just, I don't know. When you start talking about process, it gets so interesting, because especially writers who are so successful, you fall into a trap of thinking, oh, it's easy for them, and then you realize this process is not easy for anybody, and there is a point, I feel like, for every writer in every project where you get a bit lost, and it's part of the process, and then you find your way out, and that's really where the script finds its core. And so, yeah, but Chloe talking about cyclical storytelling and stuff is so new and interesting. I think that's great, and but there's so many. So
one final question for you. I'm just loving our conversation. I'm going over my 3-question limit right here. How do you tap into flow state? Do you know what I mean by that?
I think so.
So there are days where when I'm working, where all of a sudden I put the music on, I have a good breakfast, and I start typing, and I feel like I'm watching myself from a third-person perspective. How do you tap into your flow state?
I have to remember why I'm writing it. I have to find the emotional spark that I had to begin with, and then it goes. But the other thing, I really feel like you just have to get in the chair as a writer. You can think about this or that, but if I'm not sitting with my hands on the keyboard, it's not happening. And if I am, and if I start with small goals, right? I'm just going to write this scene. I find the scene I love that I can't wait to write. And then once I start going, the flow state is there.
Amazing. What kind of chair?
What kind of chair?
Swivel chair, desk chair?
It's a desk chair. It's it's one of the tall ones, and it's got a little thing you pull out, and then it can lean back. And so that's the,
Yeah, posture is the biggest thing when it comes to writing, I feel.
Yeah, it's terrible though. We start to look like turtles, because our heads come out this way because we're typing all day.
Mark of a hard worker, mark of a good writer. Congratulations on your entire awards season. I know that's going to be a big night for y'all at the Oscars next week as well. Where were you when you got your nomination for the WGA specifically? Do you have a good story about receiving the phone call or the email?
Honestly, no. It's all like one big blur. I was probably working because we're editing a new film right now, and so I was probably just stressing out about how to figure out a scene, and so when it came through, I just remember. I mean, Clint and I always call each other at moments like this, my co-writer and the director of Train Dreams, and it was special for us because this was the first time we've ever been WGA nominated. We've been very fortunate to have an Oscar nomination before. Last year was Sing Sing, and but this is really special because it's by writers and for writers.
For you as a writer, what are some intangibles you look to incorporate into a script, some musts that you think help bring it to the next level?
For me, it's first world. Like, can you really get behind the curtain of a place that maybe people think they understand, but by you traveling in, can you show them something that they've never seen before? Can you bring deep specificity to a world? And then who are the people that inhabit that world, and what's their relationship with their world? Are they in harmony or conflict with the world that they inhabit? That really, for us, is a big engine for the movies that we do.
Very well said. Something that gets brought up a lot in headlines these days is Netflix scripts of wanting to maybe restate the plot a little bit too much. Not too much per se, but with the idea that the audience is watching at home and making sure they remain engaged. For you as a writer, how do you approach something like that when it comes to trusting your audience while also being realistic about maybe the circumstances in which they're watching the film?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, you know, we've been very fortunate. We have a movie released by Netflix, so they weren't editing it. It was acquired out of Sundance, but I'm actually making a film. Our next film is with Netflix. And so far, I mean, we just got to make the movie that we saw and the way we wanted to make. Maybe if it was like some massive big budget thing, that those rules might be different, but at least in terms of our experience, I feel like everyone's rowing in the same direction just after the right film. And I'd just say broader, like as a writer, that's how Clint and I generally operate, is just, you know, you have to be an audience of one first to move an audience of many. If you start trying to make a movie for the many, and you've lost sight of like your own experience, your own tastes, your own feelings, then you're going to have something that may not mean anything to anyone else, and it doesn't mean anything to you. And so, what's the point at that point?
So dial it back, I'm sure you're a fan of film growing up. What were some of the films that you really enjoyed watching as a kid?
Yeah, growing up, I really enjoyed the films that took place in New York City, because as an aspiring filmmaker, I've always looked at those films as inspiration, but also that there was opportunity here in New York to make it into the industry. So some of my favorite films have to be Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, Die Hard 3, if you want to get a little more into the mainstream and have a little fun. So, you know, now that I'm overseeing the Mayor's Office of Entertainment, you know, my goal is to ensure that we continue bringing production to our city, continue to lead in making sure that New York City is the most frictionless place to make a film, because we want to continue seeing those great films being made here in our city. They create good paying jobs, they create investments into the city, but also it creates hope and dreams in those that want to make their films here in the city as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Requiem. That score to this day still goes crazy. And I understand that there's a significant amount of films nominated here tonight that were filmed in New York. What does it mean to see your city represented, not only on the big screen, but then recognized here at an award show like the WGA's?
Yeah, it's super important to see them nominated here in the WGA Awards. We have 14 nominations, 11 productions, some of the greatest shows that we've seen this past year, like Dying for Sex, some movies like Marty Supreme. So seeing them get nominated really is important for us as a city, because it signals to the rest of the world that if you want to make prestige TV and prestige movies, you have to make them here in New York City.
Yeah. I am a new resident to New York City only in the past 2 years, and seeing like the L train represented in Kinda Pregnant or the Lower East Side represented in Caught Stealing, it makes the world around me, Manhattan specifically, feel like a movie, which is very, very special. What's your favorite theater in the city?
My favorite theater in the city, that's a good question.
You can give me a top three if you must.
Yeah, I mean, the most iconic is the one on 14th Street and by Union Square. But I would say Kew Gardens Theaters in Queens. It's a very small indie house theater, feels very mom and pop, and you can go there and watch the the most obscure independent films to the biggest films like Spider-Man.
Yeah, very well said. I'm an AMC Lincoln Square guy. That IMAX screen, you can't beat it. Sir, thank you again for your time. What are some intangibles you look for in a good script? What are some things that jump out to you?
Well, I don't look for anything in a script except send me your script. We'll do a breakdown. That's what we do of your script from New Jersey, from the Film Commission. We'll break down your script. We'll find you whatever you need in terms of locations, whatever the creative calls for. That's free. We do it for anybody. It doesn't matter what size your budget. Break it down, give you a location packet. We'll take you around. And we have a program called Film Ready, which is, it's a 5-step certification program in communities that are interested in hosting production. They come and they do a workshop. We give them in a toolbox an ordinance or a code of conduct. Basically what we've done is we sat with the Attorney General's office and made the permit processing throughout the state uniform and consistent. So you know wherever you go to a film-ready town, if you're a filmmaker, you know you're going to get your permit turned around in 4 days. And you know based on the WGA tier system, if you're a certain budget, what your permit is going to cost, and if you're above that limit, you know what it's going to be. It's either $150 or $500 a day. Where else can you go in the US of A and have that sort of consistency? So for a filmmaker, that's what they need to be looking at, is New Jersey with the commission, our locations, are the third biggest experienced workforce, a fantastic infrastructure, and great tax incentives.
A clear, good workflow. It's always a plus in this industry specifically. A lot of things film in New Jersey these days. Do you have a 5-year plan or an ambition to the future of what you want New Jersey to become when it comes to a hub for filming?
Yeah, you bet. So I started about 2 years ago. I come from 30 years of production, right? And I'm also a councilman and a police commissioner here in the state. So I straddle both worlds of government, local government, and from production. So the goal was coming in here, be really aggressive, knock on doors, let everybody know that Jersey's here, and to build consistency through the state so that we're creating two things: more jobs, right? More crew hires for our union members, and also to get that spend all through the state. So we've been historically number 7 or 8. I guess I should have said 6 or 7, but 7 or 8 is the truth. And now we're nipping at the heels on Georgia to be number 3. And that is our goal. We're happy with being number 3 behind LA and New York. And we think actually Jersey and New York, we're a great complement to a filmmaker. You can go hop across the river and get the best of both worlds in whatever locations you need, great incentives, great workforce. So come here. We always say in Jersey, whatever your production needs, Jersey's got you covered.
Amazing. I have a very limited experience with New Jersey, but the one place I always go to is Bradley Beach, because my buddy has a place down there. To see that represented in Springsteen last year, pretty special.
That's what I'm talking about. There's some really great thread that's been running in the last 2 years between the Dylan, Complete Unknown, and Springsteen, right? And we've had these, and then Song Sung Blue, which is sort of Neil Diamond related, right? So there's a musical thread that's been running through the state. And I love it because we're up for awards all the time. We're Jersey's on the big screen, and people, filmmakers and moviegoers are discovering Jersey is great. It's much more than the Rusty Bridge Open to The Sopranos, right? It is. And the birthplace of filmmaking is its future.
Very well said. Thank you again for your time today, sir.